What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Savant Life, and I'm so excited today because I'm going to be test riding the brand new Yamaha FZ25. Now, as you can see, I have a Yamaha FZ from way back in the day. It's one of the oldest bikes out there that belong to the FZ series, and it even has a different console over here, which is the reason why a lot of people who watch my videos keep asking me which bike this is, because this is not the FZ2.0, this is the original FZ, and today I'm going to be test riding the original FZ25, which Yamaha has come out, and that whole segment is really becoming very, very interesting because the Duke 250 is also out there trying to compete, trying to make waves, and it's time to go ahead and find out if the FZ25 is something to be reckoned with. Alright, so here we go. Finally got my hands around the Yamaha FZ25, and I have to say the gear system seems to be very hard, but I guess it's just about getting used to the bike to a certain extent. Now, the only problem with doing test rides with any of the bikes over here around this Hosu region is that it's just so crowded all the time, and the roads are just so tiny that you can't really do a great enough job of pushing the bike to its limits. But I guess you've got to make do with what you've got to make do, right? It does feel nice for sure, I have to say. It does feel very manageable. I think it's just the right kind of upgrade for anyone who's looking to move up from a 150cc bike to something bigger. But I don't know if there is some particular problem with this bike as such, or the gear system seems to be really, really hard. And as you can make out over here, the speedometer does not seem to be working either. It's a constant 0. And there's a beautiful looking Continental GT. The bike does have quite a lot of zip. I know that people were sort of underwhelmed by the numbers because they thought that a 250cc bike with just about 20 bhp is not really going to cut it. But I have to say that it does seem to have some bite for sure, and if you are willing to push it, if you're ready to push it, it definitely can do some decent numbers. And this is probably as open a road as I'm going to get, so I'm going to take my chances over here and just push the bike around a little bit. And I have to say that I ride FZ16 normally, and this does feel more powerful than that. It also does feel a little more heavy, but you can hardly notice the difference, even though this is a 148 kg bike, whereas the FZ is probably around 135. And just like that, we're back in bumper to bumper traffic. So while we're stuck over here, let me just quickly tell you about the colors that the bike comes in. So what you see over here is ballistic blue. Apart from this, you've got warrior white and night black as well. And I personally think that out of the three, the black one looks the best. After that is the white, and this is probably number 3. But if you have a little bit of an adventurous side to you and you want to stand apart, don't want to go with the classics, then maybe you can try this color out. So that's the exhaust note, dropping a couple of rev bombs over there, just for you all to get a better sense of how the bike sounds. Like I said, it is a pretty decent sounding bike. But again, if we were not stuck in this kind of traffic, we could have probably pushed the bike around a little more. It definitely gets a lot of attention too, as you can probably make out. 3 or 4 people have already checked it out, turning around. There's a Bullet guy as well, a Royal Enfield guy taking a look. And also some of it is not just the looks of the bike, but that it is brand new and people are curious about which one it might be. And if you look at the console over here, it's a very simple looking console. I actually would have liked something better, something a little more detailed. But it does do very well in terms of functionality. It's got a speedometer, tachometer, odometer, and it gives you all of the important numbers that you would need to know. And we're going to keep to the left over here so that we can take a quick turn into the short gully that we have. There's the Yamaha R3. I'm almost convinced at this point that there is definitely something wrong with the gear system of this bike, because it seems to be exceptionally hard. As you can, if you just saw what happened over there, you were not even able to shift the gear, and I'm pretty sure that it is something to do with this test bike, and I can't imagine that something as fundamental as this would be wrong with a much touted bike like the Yamaha FZ25. But in the meantime, let's make do with what we have over here. Sometimes you just have to make the best of a bad situation. It does have some nice zip, I can tell you that much. It sure as hell has some nice zip. And if you have to brake like that in order to avoid a speed breaker, then what you need to keep in mind is that you certainly don't get ABS on this bike, not even as an option. But I guess Yamaha wanted to bring out a bike that had as many great features as possible, looked really solid, but at the same time did not pinch your wallet, and that is the reason why you did not have things like ABS. But also, given the slightly refined conservative performance of this bike, I don't think that you would really be needing ABS in a machine like this. The maneuverability of the bike is actually quite good. I'm very impressed by it. I've ridden a bunch of Dukes as well in the past, and the Dukes by nature are a little difficult to flick around, especially, I mean, they're not difficult to flick around, let me correct that, but you know, the turning radius isn't so great. No such problems with this bike. I think Yamahas are generally bikes that have a nice generous turning radius, and as you saw over there just a few seconds back, I could cut through traffic and cut through lanes quite easily on this latest offering from the Yamaha stable. So far, I'm actually quite impressed by the overall ergonomics of the bike and the way it feels. Trust me, it feels very premium, the whole look and feel and the finish of it. But I'm just a little disappointed about the quality of this test ride bike itself, because I think there is definitely something a little fishy about the gearbox, because the gears are just not shifting smoothly enough whatsoever. This is the reality of Bangalore in 2017, that you can have the best bike possible, but as long as you're riding it on these roads, you're only going to be crawling along at 0 kilometers an hour. So that mistake, that faulty speedometer over there is actually doing poetic justice to the situation, because even if it was working, it wouldn't be more than what it is right now. Okay, that's the end of the test ride. I'm just gonna quickly park the bike over here. There's just such paucity of space over here in Bangalore that you just can't take an inch. Everyone wants you to F off and go somewhere else. So I think I'm just gonna have to park the bike over here. On the side of the road. ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಯಾರು ಕೊಡಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ ಸೈಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೂ ಜಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ನಿಲ್ಸಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ FZ25 ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಬನ್ನಿ pull okay thanks so much alright so we're done with that short test ride and they pretty much confirmed that because they got the piece only yesterday or they got the bike only yesterday they haven't had the time to actually put it through the basic checks and that's the reason why the gear system is kind of messed up and not really working as it should and that's a shame because I did not really get to experience the full potential of the bike but I guess it's okay because at least like they say something is always better than nothing. Alright now let me go back home and give you my 2 cents on what I thought of the FZ25. So as you can make out I'm back home in the comfort of my room and I thought I would just give you my quick 2 cents about the Yamaha FZ25 and my experiences in particular. So clearly the Yamaha FZ25 is a great offering in that starter premium segment which is picking up a lot of steam in India by the way. Yamaha has a bike that has a 250cc single cylinder engine which is capable of producing 21 bhp at 8000 rpm and 20 Newton meters of torque at about 6000 rpm. Now those numbers might not seem very impressive on paper but when you actually ride the bike you don't feel that it is underpowered. It in fact has a fair bit of bite to it, it has a certain amount of zip and you also get that typical refined Yamaha performance for sure. To give you some more numbers, the bike weighs in at about 140 kgs which makes it one of the lighter bikes in this particular segment and it also has a 14-litre fuel tank with a promised mileage of about 35 to 40 kilometers per liter and even if it does not return those numbers anything above 30 is extremely good for a bike like this. Now the seat height is about 750 millimeters which means that the bike is ideal for typical Indian riders who might be short and it also feels very comfortable for someone like me who's about 5'11". But hey, if you're a girl and you're watching this, let's just say I'm 6 feet. I winked as well, it's just that you couldn't see it because I'm wearing shades indoors because I'm, you know, just a douchebag. Now coming to the ground clearance, it has a ground clearance of about 160 millimeters which again is very good and it means that you won't be scraping the underbelly of your bike on even the sharpest of speed breakers that we have in Hamara Bharat. And like I said before, the bike has a premium finish to it and you can make that out by the quality and the feel of the components and parts which seem to be of very high quality and also the FZ25 has a certain presence about it which I quite like. Now what I did not really like about the bike is that shortened stubby exhaust which looks out of place and is quite an eyesore. It definitely does not go along with the looks of the bike and on top of it, it does not really produce the kind of riveting sound that I'm sure your ears were hoping for. Lastly, the fact that ABS is not available even as an option is a little bit of a downer but considering the well-mannered performance of the bike, I don't think it should be a deal breaker because let's face it, the FZ25 is not a monster like the Dukes or the RCs and I'm sure you won't miss ABS on this bike all that much. The only thing I would ask is for Yamaha to have a properly functioning test ride bike within a couple of days of launch because I had to go hunting from showroom to showroom in a major city like Bangalore and even then I ended up with a bike that had a faulty gear system and that sort of ruined the experience for me. So if you're spending all of that time, effort, money and energy in creating all this hype around the bike, then you might want to pull all of your punches in order to make sure that you're living up to it when people come into your showrooms and want to test ride the bike. Alright, so that about does it for my video of the initial impressions that I had of the FZ25. Overall, I think it's a great offering and I can't wait to see how it does in the Indian market. If you have any questions for me, then drop them in the comment section below and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And in the meantime, if you like the video, hit the like button and share it with your friends if you think that they might find it useful. And if this is your first time around at the Savant Life, then as always, do hit that subscribe button because like I say, it only takes a second. I will see you the next time around. Until then, thank you so much for watching and